Welcome.
Welcome.
You enjoying it here?
Well, it feels very, it feels a bit like going home. Because this is Dean Street and the old comedy store was just there and the old comic strip club was just there. And the comic strip offices were just in Berwick Street. So this is all our kind of old manor. And the Soho Theatre has a kind of vibe about it that reminds me of those days.
Oh, good.
You know, in a good way, not in a nostalgic way, in a way that anything's possible. That's what I get out of this building. People are doing stuff, and there's no one's trying to limit your imagination. One of the reasons to do this as a play rather than adapt as another way it's easier to do a play without being restricted.
Yeah.
Because once you get into television, there's too many layers of executive control and other stuff. Here, it will eventually just be me on a stage.
So of all the books in the world, why this
I'll tell you
one?
again now.
Do tell me.
Yeah. Well, I was lent it by a friend of mine on holiday, and it made me laugh. It's a very funny book. And it made me cry. It's actually a very sad book at the same time, which is an odd combination. You don't often get that, do you?
No.
And it seemed very coherent and clever about a lot of things that I nearly understand, that he writes in a much better way. He describes how the economy works and your sort of passage through life as a kind of body that starts off being very healthy and becomes more and more decrepit, and it seems to make more sense rather than just suddenly getting ill and then dying.
The character throughout it compares himself to literary characters that are all middle-aged losers by his own definition.
Yeah.
What's your version of that? Which literary figures do you relate to most?
Oh dear. Well, I've read all the books he describes.
Yeah.
And I do enjoy them.
Yeah.
And I enjoy the characters he mentions. And they all are all kind of weak-willed, kind of
watery
middle-class losers, middle-aged. People who struggle to get along. And I know I sometimes present a glossy sheen as if I'm doing relatively well, but inside I feel like that.
Nice.
I do feel like that. So and sometimes it depresses me.
Yep.
And I think reading about similar people like that I find enjoyable. Not because I'm wallowing in my own self-pity, but
No, but you've made a choice to inflict this person upon audiences of up to 160 people a night.
Yes.
Why?
Because I think he has something to say, not just to people my age. I think the book is I don't know who he aimed the book at, but I don't know many people who've read it who aren't my age. And it seems to me a cautionary tale about, especially to my own children are all in their mid-20s, early 30s, and I think they should read it. I think they should know what he's saying.
Yes.
Why do you think he wrote the book?
Yeah. The book is sort of about why he wrote the book.
It is. It's chicken and egg at the same
So
time.
I don't want to give away the ending at the same time as talking about that, but it felt like he'd been through a massive crash and he needed to find closure on it, and he could only find closure on it by turning it into a fairy tale, to a printed book.
Yeah.
So, it does feel like it's an archive for his son as well. Just depending on how that relationship goes down the years, that his son can go, oh no, Dad was coming from a good place, even though he is this.
Yeah.
I guess in the way you were perhaps talking about this as being, I think when you make a show, you make it for one person. I think like when you have a party when you're a kid, you tend to have it for one girl. So when you make a play, it tends to be for one person.
All
specific.
Your secrets are revealed.
I know. But, this one I think you're making for your kids and their generation, in terms of getting that
When I came
fable.
in and discussed it with you to begin with the night, and you read the book, why did you think it would work here?
I thought it'd work here because you wanted to tell it here, and I didn't quite know why. And you know, you're a shrewd artist who decides what he's doing.
Excellent.
You know, you're choosing which parties you go to rather than knocking on the windows asking to come in. Mm-hmm. And I wanted to know what you thought this had to say to the audience, because I read it, and as you know, I saw this watery, failing middle-aged man as reasonably abhorrent and intangible. I was never going to become that. Now, the more we've dug into it, and the more we've investigated those stories, the more it clearly is me, and I just needed to see it in that way. So I think that's for me what spoke to me within the story, and meant that it would have something to say to this audience, where quite often we can have conversations in theatre where we're talking a language that people already speak and about things that people already agree with.
Yeah.
Where this felt like it was, we haven't said this before, so let's see if this speaks to you.
I agree. Everything that you said was good.
Good.
So I'm hoping that, I'm not a politician, so I don't want to tell people stuff.
No.
But I'm hoping they gain from it in a personal way, some kind of, just a little checking of their own situation and making sure that they're safe.
Nice.
And not in a kind of, I want to be your bank manager, you must put more in your pension. I mean, be cross about the world. Be crosser about where it's all going, because although you might be living a great life at the minute, it's not happening for everyone, and it's going to impinge on you. It's going to swamp you. The past will catch up with you. That's a big motive of the piece. The past is going to come and close you down. You know, we're all a product of what we've done in the past. So you have to think about the present in terms of the future sometimes.
So, conflict is drama. They're the rules we learn at school. And
actually, I never learned that one.
Did you know? Oh, it is. It is, apparently.
I thought drama was just waving your sword about.
No, afraid not. Afraid not. There needs to be conflict. But you've only got the one person in this show, so his conflict's kind of within himself somehow. And something to do with his hopes.
His conflict is against the world, isn't it? His conflict is against the economy. His conflict is against the idea of love, and whether his relationship is broken up because of the economy.
Yeah.
You know, he blames the economy for his personal tragedy. And I think he makes a very cogent case, and he has moments of hope. And I think that is true of a lot of people I know.
Yeah.
You know.
What's he hoping for?
He's hoping to be happy. That's all we can all hope for, isn't it? I think.